Hi everyone, welcome to week 3 and 4 of Developing Literacy. I hope you've had a really great few weeks and you're enjoying all the content that you're reading and the activities that you have to do. These are really great activities because they're really hands-on, and especially your assessment. It's a real hands-on assessment, and it's literally what you would have to do in the classroom, which is even better. So that's what you want. I really wanted to go through with you guys today some things that I do in my classroom to plan for reading and implement different comprehension activities, and also then assess students' reading abilities and what they're comprehending. So there's so much that I want to give you. And I just thought it's easier in a video than it is to actually write it down. Now, everything that I show you today, I will actually upload, and you can see it for yourself as a photo. So hopefully you'll see it below this video as I'm speaking. The first thing I wanted to go through with you guys is my reading planner, because I think, you know what, if this was a classroom and you were in the classroom, I'd bring out all of my things. And, you know, I think in teaching it's all about sharing your resources, and so I really want to be able to share my resources and the things that I do with you guys to enable you with help for not only your assessments but also in the real life classroom. So my reading planner, I guess it's a whole focus, like what we were discussing last week. My reading planner looks like this. So I have a whole class focus. So obviously for this particular week, this is a grade 1 class. So this is an old planner. But this particular week you're looking at asking questions, so asking thick and thin questions and the difference between them. So every day I'll do something different. So for example, one day I might actually read a book, another day it might be a game on the smartboard, another day it might be a PowerPoint that I've made. So I try and change it up and give students different ways to learn a particular comprehension strategy. Then what I have is I put my kids into different groups according to their reading abilities. So crocodiles is my top group, elephants, lions and giraffes, and they have different things to do on the computer according to who they are and what they're able to do. Obviously on this side here I've got my learning center activities. So for example, if someone wasn't here and they needed to like if I was away, the CIT could just come in and pick up where I left off. So obviously you can see here, I'm really linking in my inquiry unit, which is on water, with my literacy. And I think this is really important, that you can link in your inquiry-based learning or your challenge-based learning or whatever it is you do, that you can link that into all areas of the curriculum. So, you know, for example here, they could ask thick and thin questions about water. So I'm still meeting their ability and being able to do things and at the same time bringing my inquiry focus into my literacy unit. And then down here you'll see the guided reading, the guided reading focus. So my guided reading focus is on thick and thin questions. However, there's different things depending on their different level of ability. I often as well will have parent helpers in with me because at a prep and grade 1 level, it's so great to have the parent help, because you can give them more in-depth activities without them mucking around and playing up and things like that. So I love parent helpers. So that's my reading planner. Have a look through it yourself. You know, you're welcome to take that idea for when you become a teacher and plan your reading lessons. Go for it. Another thing that we use in the classroom is something called the Cars and Stars program. So this is comprehension reading strategies, and what we do is at the beginning, what I would do anyway, is at the beginning of the month I would test my students on a particular passage in the Cars and Stars book, and then I would work out from there something that they're struggling with. So are they struggling to interpret figurative language? And then I would work every week at giving them some particular focus of strategy. So, for example, here this student has to read about a fable, and then it's got different topics, so different comprehension strategies that students need to know. So finding the main idea, recalling facts and details, understanding sequence, recognizing cause and effect, comparing and contrasting, making predictions, and then turn it over, finding word meaning in context, drawing conclusions, making inferences, and you can read the rest. So depending on what they're struggling with, so for example, if they're struggling with distinguishing between fact and opinion, something that I have done is, for example, say if it's water, I would write up a whole list of facts about water and a whole list of opinions about water. And then I would get students to sort these into a fact and opinion card. Unfortunately, it's holidays, so I don't have it here to show you. But you know, I do a lot of laminating and cutting up and printing out, so it's all interactive. It's in colour. It's something fun that they can do, but also learn. I really dislike using black line masters, so I really try and err away from those and use my creativity to do this. So if you were IT savvy, you could probably create a fact and opinion you know, little game where they have to, you know, pull them down and put them in the correct boxes and things like that. You know, I love my laminating, so that's what I do. So that's a, you know, real informal assessment, but it informs my teaching every month. So I know, okay, you know, for these coming weeks, I might do a whole class focus on, you know, understanding what is the author's purpose. Or I might do a week of looking at figurative language. And that's my whole class focus, as well as then in between all that looking at word sound and letter knowledge and blends and all of those kind of things. So obviously these plans are for grade 1, so by this stage I would expect that most students do know their letters and sounds. Saying that though, what I do is when I am teaching foundation, something that I have done is I get students to be word detectives. So what is the letter that we're looking at? So it might be that some students still don't know their letters and sounds. So it might be that you're looking at the letter L, and L makes a L sound. So now I want you to be detectives. Put your detective hat on. Get your, you know, get all your tools, so your notebook and your pencil, and let's go searching around the room for words that begin with "l". So for the students that can read, they can go, oh, that's the word lion, or that's the word leopard. And the students that can't read, it gives them the ability to go, oh, there's a word that begins with "l". I don't know what it is, but I can write it down. Or what you could do, even if students can't write it down, get students who can write it down and pair them up. So you've got the higher ability with the lower ability, and they're working together. Now, from that, obviously in foundation, you want students to be able to really understand their letters and sounds before you move on. But at the same time, I have kids coming into my classroom and they know their letters and sounds. So what do you test them on? Where do you go from there? Because if they already know their letters and sounds, you don't want to reteach it to them. Otherwise, they're going to become bored and disengaged. So something that we do is we do the meow words. So these are the 100 most used words, and they don't get these until they know all their letters and sounds. And they work at different colours. So let's see if I can find it. So we start at yellow, and they just get on a word ring. They get the yellow words, and they have to take them home, and they have to just learn them by rote or however way the parents want to teach it to them. And then every week they come in and they get tested. So if they can read it all, then they once they can say them all, then they get a certificate. and they get the next lot of cards until eventually you have a whole ring of cards that they know. And you can use these for great whole class activities of, spreading them out, turning them over. Can you say the word? Can you find a word that ends in all? Can you find a word that begins with D? You can do so many things with these word rings. So, and then obviously for teacher reference, you would mark and the beginning test at the beginning of the year, how many words they know. And so also then you know where to start, because if they all know the beginning lot of words, then you might not go onwards. And I've just noticed this is the 101 to 200 words, but it's a similar thing for the first 100 words as well. So that is an example. Yes. Something else that you might do is I don't have an example of this right now, but the PAT, so Progressive Achievement Test. So this assesses the student reading comprehension skills and knowledge, and this is a formal assessment, so it will probably be done at the end of the year, and it's assessed against other students, so you can really see where your students sit in comparing their comprehension skills. Now, another thing that I do is I do running records on my kids, and this might be done every few weeks to work out where they are at. So often I will give them a story, and I'll say, hey, can you have a look at this story? Just have a read through it yourself, look at the pictures, and then when you're ready, I want you to read it to me. So then they can become familiar with probably what the book is about, because at grade 1 or even at prep, they should be able to make up a story, at least from the pictures, and identify some key letters, sounds, and words. So I'll give them the book and I'll be like, hey, have a look at it. When you're ready, come get me. And then I will literally, you don't say anything, you don't correct them. And this is the PM benchmark kit, and again, I've given you a link to this below. But trying to see. So this one was level 22, so it's a grade 1 running record. And obviously, if they get the word right, you put a tick. People have been cutting down trees for thousands of years. The wood from trees is very useful. And you tick, 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 tick. Now, when they get it wrong, you might, it says in some countries, so sometimes, but then she's self-corrected. So SC means self-correct. So she's like realized, oh, hang on, that doesn't look right. Doesn't sound right when I say sometimes countries, people decided to turn. She's self-corrected, and fix that up. And then obviously you've got to work out if it's a meaning error, semantic error, or a visual error. Then at the back, you've got questions that you have to ask them. And then I've been really lazy and I haven't done this, but you work out the accuracy level, self-correction rate, and just jot down some ideas for their analysis of reading behaviour. So for example, she self-monitors and corrects herself, which is great, but she can't answer questions where answers aren't directly in the text. So that's something that she needs to work on. So I do that every week, not every week, but generally every week, depending on the children and where they're at. I'll try and do sort of 2 or 3, and then you get a mad rush and a huge cluster of kids as well. I'm trying to think of what else I've got. There's so many things. Now, something else that we do as well is we do looking at particular, like what I shared before in foundation, you start off by looking at letters and sounds. Now, in grade 1, or even after they have begun to look at their letters and sounds, you might start looking at blends. So, for example, sh and, can you think of all the words that begin with sh? So, shoe and shop, and you get the odd, the kid who always says the naughty word, but they don't even understand it. It's quite funny. But yeah, so you look at that. Another thing that we do is oo as in pool. So for example, you've got oo as in moon, oo as in loose, shoe, and maybe like dough. Ooh, sorry. Oo as in, it might be rough. and things like that. So what I'll do here is, as a whole class, we brainstorm. So there might be kids who don't know and aren't up to this, but actually involving them in the whole class focus gives them the beginning